Silent, the world holds its breath, the hand in front of mouth and nose. A place on the leader of Rome is no farther in spotlight, has long been since. Fregene, weekend exile for stars and artists, platform for various cultural events, lost contact with the outside. Long before a global pandemic knocked us out. A diverse history, stuck, just in another phase of metamorphosis. Dozens of eccentric villas lined up in an old pine forest, a river delta that leads to the sea, barren oasis in the desert, old small fishermen's huts between rundown beach bars and clubs. Irritating. A frightening picture. Narrow roads broken by tree roots, a center, an intersection on the beach. The beginning of the promenade? In between, empty hotel buildings with overgrown parks, holiday apartments in large pink blocks, a grid of yellow road markings, parking lots, an indication of the rush in summer. A stage set, almost post-apocalyptic, a place like in a film. In the heart of the forest, a rough diamond, the Casa Sperimentale. A living experiment, but the Perugini family did not work out in the long run. Quietly, like the residents, it surrenders to its fate. Not being recognized, not being noticed. Things got lost in translation. Speaking of translation, how is this idea constructed? Continuing on my preliminary, interpreting the text put together last semester, each floor reflects, in form and in content, the confrontation, engagement with the near, distant built past, translating into our time, in materiality, basic ideas. Realizing salvation is not found in the repair of a building's facade or body. Look further into the living rooms of the neighbors. Realize not the building is the problem, the environment in which it stands is. Helping the building is helping the society to regain strength, to put their protecting arms around individual people, stories, buildings, a new identity as a location shooting, a film city. A film school for Fregene. The development of film, shifting from masters to rookies, from movies to flickers. I can draw some parallels between the development of our society and the technique. Film technique. An urban fabric, social structures, processes function similar to the formation of a computer. The structure of a hard disk, the structure of a society. Change the scale, the construction of a building. A motherboard, a plugged-in box system. Different functions are connected with each other. Behind the scenes, continually recoding, a general picture is generated. A film school, in the heart of the village, a component of the typesetting box system of a computer, visited by students, film people, in summer and in winter. The poor off-season is bridged, the empty buildings are accommodations. So let's start the program. The motherboard is the basis of every functioning computer. In an architectural context, a basic infrastructure, connection to the rest of the country, next village, also an internal network. A motherboard built up in various layers, rooted on a basic structure, a building structure. In form and density reflects the other floors. Fragments and findings are literally found on site, deformed in different columns, different stories, together, a framework for a common story. A closely dotted coded matrix. A round tribune lines the grid, a stage for everyday scenes. The main connection. A round ramp winds its way up to the first floor, growing from the shady ground like a bean sprout. A shortcut, the elevator. And in the middle, a hidden message, a spiral staircase enclosed in between columns. The processor is the control system and the calculator, in close interaction with the main memory, the heart of the computer. The district council, city administration, lines converge, the heart of the film school. Making, working, building, constant exchange with others. A scenery workshop shares a room with a cafe, an experimental space. Different spatial functions, events converge. Ideas are put into practice, put together and taken apart again. Everything is in process. Take the way via the ramp, arriving directly at the small bar, looking over the scenery of the workshop. On the right, a square with trees, scaffolding flashes through. The facade a scene. Scenery workshop, fragments of the truth, covered in differently printed gauze. Translucent, connects inside and outside. Trees become columns, treetops grow ceilings. Behind and in front the scenes, a large table in the middle, belonging to Lucia, the inhabitants. A Stammtisch, a place for celebrations. A scene. Random access memory, short-term memory, archive, a public institution, a library, shops, cafes, contributing to the shape of the place, carrying individual fragments, the history of their homeland, a place where things we have forgotten are found again. A short-term memory, attention for the duration of a film, to be forgotten afterwards. Books, materials, documents, photos are stored there, made available as a library, a shop, things awakening future nostalgic feelings, small fragments of Fregene, the film school, finding place in a new code. Slots for more complex programs, additional graphic cards, sound cards, memory cards, ensuring a smooth operation, helping to process large files. See public buildings, the school, the community hall, sacred buildings, adding specific functions to the residential area, the quality of living. Place where films are produced, edited, set to music, processed. Studying the floor plans of Casa Sperimentale. It was not finished yet. Plans were to expand continuously, exchange functions, docking onto the built environment, by a studio, a ballroom, not working as motherboard, rather one part of a chip system. Now, a fragment supplied from outside, finding its completeness programmatically, being technical studio instead, the architect's sense of constantly recoding it, the Casa Sperimentale, graphic card, the graphic space. Northbridge, the antithesis of the processor, transferring data with little latency, the community leadership, government, the interaction between the inhabitants and the place, kind of a speaking tube, making its way through all social layers, creating a unifying, protecting arc, bringing the people closer together, connecting them. The shortcut, a quick transfer leading through the motherboard, the processor, the main memory, even beyond. A tower, a viewpoint at the top, out of the box system, an overview of what's happening, what is filmed, lived, built. Also needed for exchange and communication with other applications. Further to the west, the sea. A second tower. Same language. Decoding another part of the matrix. The use and location was hidden yet. The mouse, navigating through the graphic interface of our computer screen. Moving through the village. Orientation. A landmark. A tower. The main road to the sea. Past the coulisses of the film school. Reaching the promenade, following the tower, the end of the road. A reference point. A significant crossroad. Beach bars, cafes, parking lots. In the middle, a small temple, leading hustle and bustle, gathering pedestrians, cars and bicycles, overgrown with plants. Through the Tempieto, the entrance of Toledo. Large round windows, the eyes of the temple, reflecting the traffic. The center, a spiral staircase. The second tower, connecting the two places. Not only the school, but the whole lagoon, all streets, houses, stories, spaces between the two companions. The outer scenery. A projector sliding along a rail, playing films on the screen at the pier. A lighthouse light. The keyboard, kept simple, fulfills one function. We can start the computer, but we cannot get further than the login window. So, public offices, the registration office, the police, tourist information, contact point for inside and outside, a place for general information, gadgets, tips and tricks of the area, an institute, located outside the film school, outside Fregene, keeping its distance from the chaos, connected to the hard drive via dock. Quick and easy, a bungalow that stands on supports, imitating the Casa Sperimentale, ornamenting the promenade. On the ground floor, 4 walls. All can be opened, like beach shops. like tobacco and newspaper stands in the village. Different functions. Flaps open, accessible to everyone. Closed, not. A registration table, a chair, a human. Not much more needed. Windows facing the coast, watching the bay. Seeing Fregene. Noticing.